One of the most surprising things I've ever come across in all the time I've been researching health and wellness is that connection, so connecting with each other, is one of the most powerful ways that we can boost our happiness, support our mental health, but even increase our chances of living to 100 years old. That, in fact, was a conclusion of a study in Australia that studied people who'd lived to 100 years old and were trying to work out what were the factors that helped them achieve such a great age. And it turned out that the strongest predictor wasn't a diet, it wasn't exercise, it wasn't whether they drank alcohol or whether they smoked cigarettes, it wasn't even anything to do with blood pressure or even stress levels. It turned out that the strongest predictor was connection, regular social interaction, regular connection with each other. And now some other studies that have examined statistically a large pool of similar types of research in the field concluded that connecting with each other actually increased our chances of survival by 50%. And what I mean by that is researchers tend to look at a span of time. And so what they're saying in the study is saying over this given span of time, the chances of living through that to the end of that time, as marked out scientifically, was 50% greater if you have frequent connection in your life. Isn't that absolutely incredible? Now, we're left wondering why. So why should this be? Well, it turns out that we are genetically wired to connect with each other. We're supposed to connect with each other. Eons ago, our ancient ancestors learned that it was much healthier and much more likely that we would survive and thrive if we pulled together, if we helped each other out, if we worked together in communities and literally helped each other through the difficult times that nature and the world bestow upon us at all these times. And so we evolved genes and biological processes that ensured that we would connect with each other, and also that ensured that doing so would be healthy for us in the long term. And this is why actually studies show that connection is very good for not only our mental health, but also our physical health. Connection actually improves cardiovascular health. It even supports the immune system. In fact, some research shows that connection itself even helps to speed up digestion of food, and even helps to speed up the rate of healing of wounds. Isn't that absolutely amazing? So the power of connection is absolutely magical. And connection even improves happiness. One large study where it was done at Harvard and Yale, where researchers mapped out all the social connections of 12,000 people, and they found that if a person increased their connectivity, so increased the number of connections in some way over a period of time, it led to a direct improvement in their happiness. Other research shows that connecting with others protects our mental health. And when I say protects mental health, is actually protective against depression and anxiety, as well as stress. And one of the reasons for this is that connection itself buffers us. I suppose it acts a bit like a cushion that sort of cushions us mentally, emotionally, through sort of difficulties and challenges in our lives, and at the same time also triggers the release of dopamine, which itself is a little substance in the brain that helps to boost our mood and even help us in stressful times. So given the results of all this research, I think we can safely conclude that connecting with each other is really good for us. It's good for our mental health, it boosts our happiness, it protects against depression and anxiety, it helps to buffer stress, but it also supports our physical health, cardiovascular health, immune health, even as I say, helps us digest food and even speed up the rate of healing of wounds. At the same time, putting all that together, that's partly why that plus the fact we're wired to connect even helps us to live to a great old age. Isn't that absolutely amazing? So what I would recommend is do whatever you can to connect with others. Invite a friend or a family member for a coffee or to go for a walk. say hello to a neighbour or chat with a shop assistant. Join a group, club or community activity. Even something online. Reach out to someone you haven't spoken to for a while. Say yes to an invitation that you might usually decline. Smile more. It opens the door to connection. But just whatever you can, even the small things, even what researchers call weak ties. And that means you don't have to have deep and meaningful connections. Even just that little hello to the person on the street, that little momentary chat with a shop assistant, all these little things that researchers call weak ties also have more or less these same effects that support our mental and our physical health.